It's time for Come and Talk It with your host, Michael Cargill, brought to you by Texas Law Shield. Over the last decade, Michael has championed and supported the rights of law-abiding Texans to own and use firearms. He is the owner of Central Texas Gun Works, a veteran of the United States Army, and has achieved national exposure in such prestigious media outlets such as Forbes Magazine, Fox Business News, CNN Money, AOL, BBC World News, Huffington Post, and the New York Times. Cargill vigorously defends lawful gun ownership in this country without regard to party politics. And now, here's Michael Cargill.
Good day, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. All right, so starting tomorrow, starting on September 26th of 2022, the Knicks, the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, once you walk into a gun store anywhere in the country, anywhere in the United States, and you fill out a 4473, a firearms transaction record, then if you are delayed or denied, your information will be sent to the FBI and local law enforcement if you're delayed or denied. Now, according to ATF, I've reached out to Senator John Cornyn's office, and I've asked for clarification on this because Senator John Cornyn negotiated this along with some other pro so-called gun groups. Okay, but I don't care. I don't care who negotiated what. My problem is, as a federal firearms licensed dealer, I have a problem with this. The reason I have a problem with this because the bill, what was signed into law, talks about denied. It said that if you're denied, from receiving a firearm after, getting a background check, then you're reported to the FBI and local law enforcement. That I don't have a problem with. My problem is it talks about delays. The bill does not state anything about delays. The bill only states denied. But they're requesting, and the ATF, is requesting federal firearms licensed dealers to give them information on delays. Well, a person can be delayed for anything. They can be delayed because the examiner is going on break and they're trying to get out of there. They'll delay the transaction. Your name could be similar to someone else. You're delayed. There's some people in this country that get delayed every single time they walk into a gun store. It's not that they're a criminal or they should be under investigation. That is not a reason to send that information to law enforcement or to the FBI. And they're telling me that if a delay turns into a denial, then, that's an issue, which I agree with. But what if a delay turns into a proceed? They say they're going to delete that information. I don't trust them that they're going to delete that. When in the world have you known the government to delete anything?
Shut your mouth.
They're going to keep that information. So I have a problem with this issue. I've reached out to Senator John Cornyn's office to ask for clarification on this. The reasoning that the ATF is giving me on why they are requesting your information when your transaction is delayed is they're saying that, hey, if a delay turns into a denial, then they're not going to have enough time, according to the bill, to notify local law enforcement. Well, I call bullcocky. No, absolutely not. Here's why. I'm a federal firearms licensed dealer. You have to notify me that delay has turned into a denial. When you notify me, you notify law enforcement. It shouldn't be the other way around. Law enforcement should not know before I know that transaction has changed. And the way they're doing it, there's a great possibility, 99% of the time, I guarantee you what's going to happen is local law enforcement and the FBI will know that transaction's turned into a denial before the gun store does. And that puts the gun store in jeopardy. That's a problem for me. I want to know that a customer's transactions turn into a denial. That causes a problem. That customer walks back into the store is going to want no answers from me, and I'm not going to have a clue. I'm going to look like an idiot because I don't know. No one's communicated that information to me, and that's not how information should be done. I need to know as the dealer that transaction has turned into a denial, and then they can contact law enforcement and go from there. I need to know that first as the federal firearms licensed dealer. That's how it should be done. The bill does not request that information at all. The bill is not asking for any data whatsoever. So everyone should be upset the fact that we're having to provide information at all. The fact that I'm having to provide an address. They're telling me I have to provide an address for denies and delays. The bill does not say anything about providing data from a federal firearms license dealer. So why initially do I have to give them information for a denied? Why do I have to give them information for a delay when it doesn't ask for any information whatsoever? This I have a problem with. And for some reason, Senator John Cornyn's office will not give me answers. And I need to know, as a federal firearms license dealer who works in the state of Texas, I want my senator to give me freaking answers. That is what I'm owed as a dealer who works in the state of Texas for this senator. Do your job. And I'm sick and tired of your freaking employees, your assistants, not answering my questions and talking to me like I'm some idiot. Answer the question. Why is the ATF requesting information and overstepping their freaking bounds? I want to know. I'm sick of this. This needs to stop. This bill, this is going to start tomorrow on September 26th. I would love for dealers around the country to not provide this information when it comes to delays. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be in a predicament to even do that. Because before we're giving the information of a delayed or a denial, we're going to have to provide them the information of what they're requesting in order to get the delay information or the denied information. So I'm not going to know. So I have to give them the information if I want to know what the results of the transaction is. This is unacceptable, people. I should not be held at bay by this government in this manner. We should be standing up and screaming about this because this is a collection of data and they're saying, hey, it's okay because if we do not, if it doesn't change to a denial, we're going to delete the information. I say they're a bunch of liars. This is Michael Cargill and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Peace, this is Maj Toure. You're listening to Come and Talk It Radio with Michael Cargill.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. Whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against you, and you are the actual victim of the road rage, if you and the other individuals are still in their automobiles, do not use your firearm to respond to any of the rager's activities. This is because law enforcement views the fact that you're both still safely in your metal boxes as removing any threat of immediacy that you may be harmed. So please, if you have a gun, somebody is raging against you, forget you have a gun. Don't display it, don't brandish it, don't show it, don't point it, and for God's sake, don't fire it. This could result in a lot of trouble for you. Now let's look at a situation where a road rage incident has escalated. It has escalated to the point where one of the participants has actually gotten out of their vehicle. We recommend that you stay in your vehicle at all times. Do not exit your vehicle, because the person who exits their vehicle is going to be looked at as the aggressor. If the other individual has exited their vehicle and they are not in contact with your vehicle and they do not have a weapon, then do not feel that you can display your weapon in an act of self-defense. People are allowed to just simply stand there and scream at you, scream whatever they want. Until they make a demonstrative effort to try to harm you, there is no immediate threat that would justify displaying or shooting or...
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so let me give you a little update on this bill, when it went into effect, the name of the bill, and all that stuff, so you know what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Knicks Denial Notification Act. All right, so the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2022 was signed into law on March 15th of 2022. Now, sections 1101 and of the act included the Knicks Denial Notification Act of 2022. The act requires the Attorney General to report background check denials to state authorities and will require the FBI Criminal Justice Information Services Division, National Instant Criminal Background Check System, the NICS section, to report all FBI NICS denied transactions to local law enforcement within 24 hours beginning October the 1st of 2022. Well, the NICS section plans to implement this change on September 26, 2022. Now, the denial notification will include the date and time of the denial, the reason of the denial, the location of the federal firearms license, and the identity of the person. The NICS denial notification will be transmitted electronically to the appropriate receiving authorities within each state based on the city, state, county, and zip code combination of the FFL location and the city, state, county, and if different, the zip code combination of the attempted transferee's home address. If at any time the original denial is changed to a proceed, an updated notification to those agencies originally notified will be required. The NICS section is requiring diligently on developing the tools to make this notification as seamlessly as possible. To make the necessary notifications, all FFL dealers, that's Federal Firearms Licensed dealers, will be required to provide the buyer's complete address as recorded on the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Explosive Form 4473. For FFLs who initiate a check by contacting the NICS contracted call center, the address will be required if the customer receives a delay or denial status. The information will be required before the status is provided by the NCCC. For FFLs that initiate the check through the NICS e-check, the address will require if the customer receives a delay or denied response. Now, the response will not be retrievable until the information is provided. Once the system is updated to allow for the capturing of this information, an additional notification will be provided. In addition, if the transfer occurs at a qualifying gun show, future programming may allow for full address of the gun show location to be entered also. So this only talks about, the bill actually only talks about denies. The bill doesn't talk about delays, but the ATF brings in the delays. They're extending it to the delays so they can get that data collection. And you're supposed to believe that they're going to delete that information if it's not going to be used. Now, I've contacted Senator John Cornyn's office on multiple occasions over the last 30 days. I've contacted his office to express my concerns about this bill and how it's being implemented by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. I've said, look, I have concerns about this. I feel that the ATF is overstepping their bounds. They're they're retrieving information way more so than what the bill states that they should retrieve. And so this is what I said to Senator John Cornyn's staff. I said, well, first of all, let's go back a little bit because I contacted them several times. They didn't reply to me. I contacted them. They didn't reply to me. I contacted them again. They didn't reply to me. I contacted, like a madman. I need you to reply to this. Okay. So finally, I got a response from their office. And they told me that, I hope you're having a day, your day is off to a great start. My day is always off to a freaking great start. Just answer my question. So they said, I connected with my colleagues in D.C., and the reason I asked if you were part of the Firearm Industry Trade Association, because they asked me if I was part of the NSSF, okay, is because I wanted to let you know that they were okay with the Knicks Denial Notification Act and how it was written. In fact, they cleared the language for the bill. As a member, you should know you're well represented by them, and they would have, folks with whom to connect in your industry to discuss the specific item further. They're located in Newtown, Connecticut, blah, blah, blah. As we chatted about yesterday, nothing in the text of the bill attached covers the items you're inquiring about. With that being said, I would also encourage you to reach out to the ATF, the phone, letter, and they give me the number of the ATF. Okay. I don't have a problem with the way the bills were written. The bills talks about denied. No one has a problem with someone being denied who walks into a gun store, try to purchase a gun, and you're denied. Don't have a problem with that. My problem is they're asking the information for the delays. How hard is that for you to freaking understand? Delays, not denieds. Don't care about denieds. Everyone agrees that a person denied, they shouldn't get a freaking gun. What I'm asking about is the delays. I wish I could tattoo that on someone's 3-point of contact. I'm asking about delays, not denials. So I respond by saying that thanks for getting back to me. As you are aware, the Knicks Denied Notification Act goes into effect via the ATF on Monday, September 26. Per the attached email, as all FFL dealers must provide address information for denied notifications and delayed ones. According to the bill, it only requires information for denied. All written instructions from the ATF require delayed and denied transaction information. If I have to provide the ATF with the information once a person is delayed, local law enforcement will be notified of the denial before I will. What should happen is once the delay status has changed to a denial, then ATF contacts me to inform me of the denial, and I provide them with the address they are requesting. I'm asking Senator John Cornyn's office to inquire why we are being asked to provide information for delayed, which means police could be standing at the door of a person, and that person could be notified of an investigation without the gun store's knowledge, which puts our safety at risk. That's my problem. That's all I'm asking. Very simple. It's not complicated. We're talking delays. We're not talking denials. And they refuse to answer my email. They refuse to answer my question. And the one thing about me, you got to understand me. Michael Cargill sticks to the point. I repeat myself over and over and over again. This is what I'm asking. Answer this question. Do not answer the question that I'm not asking for. I'm not asking about denies. Don't give a flying foot about denies. I care about delays. Answer that question. I want someone from Senator John Cornyn's office to contact me and give me the information I'm asking for. I want a congressional inquiry into the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms of why they're asking for delayed information. That's what I need. Now, the last part of that is, just so you know, moving forward, out-of-state age restrictions. So that also is going to start on September 26th. So Monday, September 26th, federal firearms licensees will experience 2 new features of the FBI Knicks transaction process, One change is the result of a recommendation from the United States Office of the Inspector General and helps to raise awareness with FFLs when handling a check for a person who resides out of the state and may be subject to restrictions due to their age. The second change is tied to the passage of the Knicks Denial Notification Act of 2022. Out-of-state restrictions. Here's how it reads. Upon initiating a Knicks background check for persons residing outside of their state and who fall under the age of 21, a FFL will hear or be prompted with the following message and acknowledgement request. It is the responsibility of the federal firearms licensee to verify that the individual meets the basic age requirement in the state of residence and state of purchase pursuant to Title 18, United States Code, Section 922. This is an out-of-state purchase. The age of the individual indicates that they meet the federal basic age requirement to purchase the type of firearm selected, but state law may be more restrictive. Ensure that this individual meets the basic age and any other purchase requirements for the state of purchase and state of residence. Do you wish to continue? Don't have a problem with that. And it goes on to say that an affirmative response allows their transaction to continue and a Knicks transaction number, an NTN, is created. If a negative response received, an NTN will not be created. This will allow FFLs time to conduct an additional review or research relevant to their prospective purchaser, and the transaction may be reinitiated whenever the FFL is ready to do so. Don't have a problem with any of that at all. One thing about me is I read this stuff over and over again. I contact multiple attorneys. Before I make a decision to do something, I usually contact at least as many as 3 attorneys, 3 law firms before I decide on doing anything. I have a serious problem with this data collection that is done by our government right now, the federal government, on overstepping their bounds on what the actual bill actually says. I don't know of the government ever deleting anything. I don't think they're going to delete anything now. This is a data collection. This is a fishing expedition, and it needs to stop. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talkin'.
Hi, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back, and we got some other stories we got to cover. Let me go through the comment section here real quick. Good morning, Mike and Zach. What's up, Thomas? How you doing, Thomas? Morning. It's not morning. It's afternoon, Thomas. It's definitely afternoon. I don't know. Maybe you work the night schedule there. Oh, all right. Yeah, exactly. This means that Thomas says it's time to get your LTC. That is correct. You know, if you're tired of being, all this stuff here is pinging you. You're getting pinged. Your information, your data is being collected in their system. Let me tell you what the score is, people. Here's the score. If you walk into a gun store in a state that borders a foreign country, like Mexico or Canada, or that borders any foreign country, your information is going to be reported to the FBI if you purchase 2 handguns in more than a 5-day period, or 2 rifles or shotguns in more than a 5-day period. Now, I can tell you this on the radio show. I can't tell you this when you walk into the gun store. I don't want to be charged with obstructing justice, so I can't tell you that in the gun store. But here on the radio show, I'm here to tell you. You walk into a gun store in Texas, and if you buy, that is 2 handguns in a 5-day period, or 2 rifles or shotguns in a 5-day period, that transaction is reported to law enforcement. It's reported to the FBI. Now, me as a 07 type license, I have a manufacturer's license. I don't have to report the rifle sales at all. I only report the handgun sales. Now, you're asking me, okay, Michael, okay, what about if I buy 2 strip lower receivers? It doesn't count. Okay, what if I buy 2 complete lower receivers, Michael? It doesn't count. What if I buy a handgun and a long gun, Michael? It doesn't count. But if you buy 2 handguns or 2 rifles in a 5-day period, that transaction is reported to the law enforcement, reported to the FBI. And what's going to happen is the dealer, there's a form that we have to fill out. And in our case, honestly, that form is sent in so quick, it's probably sent in as fast before you walk out the door, okay? It's emailed to them. It's emailed to your local law enforcement, the chief law enforcement officer in the county that you live in. So, like, for example, if you live in Austin, Texas, it's sent into the Travis County Sheriff's Department. All right. If whatever, county, city you live in is sent into the chief law enforcement officer in that area. And also the FBI. Your information is sent into them. Go ahead, Zach. What you got?
Oh, I'm just listening.
Oh, I thought you had a question. I'm frustrated today, Zach. I'm frustrated.
You're quite perturbed, aren't you?
Yes. I'm really upset by this.
Your blood is boiling. I can see it over there.
It really is. I have a problem with all this stuff.
I see the steam coming out of your ears when you're talking.
So you're getting pinged. You're not going to get, you won't get pinged. You're less likely to get pinged if you have a license to carry handgun. You get a concealed handgun license or a license to carry handgun in the state that you live in. When you walk into that gun store, check with the dealer. Make sure that they're not, they're going to take your handgun license as your background check and not contact, FBI to run a background check on you. In Texas, we can verify that your license to carry a handgun is valid. There's a system that's set up that DPS, Texas Department of Public Safety, has set up. We can verify that you have a valid license to carry a handgun. So we verify that, and we don't have to run your background check. So you're not getting pinged in the system. So starting September 26th, what I would do is I would have a license to carry a handgun before walking to the gun store. And because your credit card companies are pinging you also, I would pay cash or write a check. Use Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency.
So when an LTC holder comes in and gets a transfer or purchases a firearm, then they don't get pinged.
That is as long as you use cash, you don't have to worry about the credit card system, because now credit card companies are putting a special code on those transactions that are coming from a gun store, which I haven't responded to any credit card companies at all. And I'm not going to respond to them. I'm not going to respond to them asking for me to fill out any forms changing my status. So I haven't done that yet. Once I do that, I'll let you know. Okay. As of today, I haven't responded. They've requested information. They requested me sign some documents saying that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no. So, and we're in the process of changing our business name, the name that we just do business as far as the financial institutions. So I'm changing that name as well. So I'll play the little game. So we're going to take gun out of our name. Now, the building is going to say Central Texas Gun Works. That's always going to say the same thing. But when it comes to filling out paperwork and things of that nature, we're changing that name. Welcome to CTGW. That's right, CTGW.
Bunch of letters.
CTGW.net.
Okay, so with an LTC, you don't ping the background check, right?
Don't ping with the LTC. No pinging. You
So
pay cash, write check.
But you do ping some kind of database that shows that they have a valid LTC, right?
And the state of Texas has a law in place that you're not allowed to inform anyone that someone has a license to carry a handgun. We have a strict law about that in Texas.
So you can't tell anyone?
That's right. So you're not supposed to tell anyone that law enforcement cannot give that information out. Law enforcement cannot give that information
So when someone
out.
gets pulled over with an LTC, they can't know that you have an LTC?
They have to inform law enforcement, but law enforcement can't tell anyone else outside of law enforcement.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. So in Texas, we protect that information. That makes sense?
I mean, LTC holders are the least crime committing subset of the population, no matter how you slice it.
Oh, absolutely. And
Even less, the LTC holders commit less crimes than police officers do.
absolutely. And what's funny is, man, ever since, and I hate to bring this up, but ever since constitutional carry, you do know that unlawfully carrying a weapon convictions have gone up drastically, more than doubled,
Like carrying in places that they shouldn't have,
tripled, quadrupled.
quintupled.
Unlawfully carrying a handgun, unlawfully carrying a weapon, convictions have quadrupled in the state of Texas.
Like
So
where, for example, carrying into a bar or
I'll tell you what, we'll do this. So I'm going to look at 2020. Let me see if I can talk you into doing this, Casey. So we're going to go to the Texas Department of Public Safety's main website, their main page. We can do this for our viewers online. And let me know when you're at their main page there. All right. And then up top, it says regulatory services. We're going to click that. And then you're going to scroll down a little bit. It says handgun licensing. You're going to click that. We're going to scroll down a little bit and go down to where it says reports and statistics. We're going to click that. All right. And then we're going to click on conviction rates. Going to click that. And then let's click on 2020 conviction rates report. And when that report comes up, we're going to scroll all the way down, go all the way down to it where it says unlawfully carrying weapon. There, and it should say 1,049. So in 2020, the year 2020, there are 1,049 convictions on unlawfully carrying a weapon in the state of Texas for the year of 2020. That's convictions. Now let's go back. Let's go back and let's select 2021 conviction rates. On 2021, we're going to scroll down all the way down to where it says unlawfully carrying a weapon. And we're going to look at that number that says 6,924 for 2021. 6,924 from 1,040 something. Constitutional carry did not go into effect until September the 1st of 2021. September, October, November, these 4 months left in the year is when it went into effect. You see how much it jumped? 6,924. People don't pay attention. You got to pay attention to what's going on. You really do. Because if you don't, I'm telling you now, that's why I'm encouraging people to get their license. Come to class, learn the laws in class, and learn what you cannot do, where you cannot take a firearm. And I'm telling you now, you won't be looking like these 6,924 people. And that number, I'm scared of what that's going to look like for 2022.
in 2021, we had 5 convictions of bestiality in Texas. 0 of which were convictions of LTC holders.
Oh, yeah.
So
Why would you do that?
LTC holders do not do that.
No.
No.
Just like unlawful carrying a weapon, only 22 LTC holders were convicted of that for that year 2021.
There are 14 assaults of pregnant person, but 0 LTC holders committed those.
Yeah. And the percentage of license holders that have been convicted in the state of Texas for all crimes, is not even a quarter of a percent. Not even a quarter of a percent are license holders responsible for convictions in the state of Texas. Not even a quarter of a percent. License holders are the most law-abiding citizens. You know why? Because they come to class and they're learning what the laws are. You would be a fool to carry a gun in this state and not take a class and learn what the laws are. A fool would only do that. I encourage you, come to class. I'm telling you now, if I don't get you on the front end, I'm going to get you on the back end. Because you're going to have to, it's going to be, I always say court ordered, but what it's going to be is your attorney's going to negotiate a lesser charge or lesser offense. In order to do that, you're going to have to take a firearm safety course in order to do that, to reduce the charge or to get deferred adjudication. We call pretrial diversion. You'll have to come and take a firearm safety course. So either you can take the LTC class before, learn the laws, or you can get in trouble and, pay $20,000 in attorney fees and come to me and take a class. Pick your poison. Either way, I'll get you on the front end or I'll get you on the back end. Oh, man, let me tell you. That's crazy. Oh, Florida has drawn a line in the sand about credit card companies and gun codes. Good. Man, I love Florida. I'm a Florida man. And Yoder says, you also gain a little respect from most LEOs when you hand them your LTC. That's correct. I went on vacation earlier this month, and I went down to Florida, and it's nice. I wasn't pulled over, but it's nice that if I was pulled over by police, I would give them my Florida concealed handgun license. When I'm in the state of Florida, I give them a Florida concealed handgun license, a Texas driver's license. It really throws them for a loop. Oh, what do you want, officer? You want my Florida concealed handgun license? You want my Texas license? You want my New Hampshire license? What would you like? And here's my Texas driver's license. What would you like? I love doing that. It just throws them for a loop. They're so flustered, they forget what they even stopped you for initially. I love doing that. So, it's great. That's a great feeling. Yeah. And I'm telling you, get educated. Learn those laws when you're traveling in different states. Get yourself covered. My goodness, the phone calls I get from people from time to time, drives me nuts. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
This is Coley on Noir, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, we're going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were complying with the statute. And you know, that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so this week, Ted Cruz came into the Lion's Den, and he sat down with an interview with Texas Tribune with the 2022 Texas Tribune Festival. And speaking at the Texas Tribune Festival, Cruz said armed security is a better way to keep schools safe. Take a listen to this video, this interview with Ted Cruz at the Texas Tribune Festival.
Whenever you have a mass murder, the political debate, you have Democrats in Washington who the step they immediately go to is we need to take away firearms from law-abiding citizens. Okay, you can clap for that, except for the minor problem that it doesn't work. If the objective is to stop these crimes, gun control is singularly ineffective. If you look across the country, the jurisdictions with the strictest gun control laws, almost without exception, have among the highest murder rates and among the highest crime rates. That when you disarm law-abiding citizens, the law-abiding citizens, by definition, abide the law and give up their weapons. The criminals don't. So, all right, let's talk about that. We had in place... Okay. We had in place for 10 years a so-called ban on so-called assault weapons. And the Department of Justice studied it because it expired and found that it had zero statistically significant impact on stopping violent crime. If you want to stop crime, let me tell you what actually works. And I've spent 10 years fighting for this. You target the bad guys. You target the criminals, the felons, the fugitives. You prosecute them, you put them in jail, you get them off the street. And you also enhance security at vulnerable targets. So I've introduced legislation repeatedly, and I'll tell you, 2 weeks ago, I stood on the Senate floor and tried to pass legislation I've introduced that would double the number of police officers in schools, that would fund $15 billion. Okay, look, if you want to have a reasonable conversation, we can. I mean, if you want to yell at each other, we can. But if you actually look at the legislation I introduced, would have spent $10 billion to fund 15,000 new mental health counselors in schools. Because if you look at the troubled young men who commit these horrific crimes, more mental health counselors there could help hopefully stop them and identify them before they commit these horrific acts. I stood up on the Senate floor to pass this legislation. The Democrats objected. Chris Murphy stood up, the leading Democrat for gun control, and objected and said, no, we shouldn't enhance school security. The Democrats' interest, if they're not taking away firearms from you, from law-abiding citizens, they have zero interest. And by the way, you ought to watch that debate. I would encourage you, go see. You can go watch it go Google it and watch it. I stood up and laid out, if we want to keep our kids safe, and I desperately want to keep our kids safe, the most effective step we can do is have police officers there to protect them, who can intercept a mass murderer before he gets into the school and stop them. Okay, why didn't it? Okay, you're right. It didn't happen. And why didn't it happen? Because when that lunatic got to the school in Uvalde, there wasn't a police officer on campus. He was able to get in an open back door. He got into the classroom and was murdering kids before the police got there. And if you want to stop him, look, if you have a solution to stop the deranged, evil murderer, I'd love to hear it. My solution is throw him in jail and stop the repeat, the felons, the fugitives, those with mental illness, stop them before they commit these crimes. There are some we won't know about beforehand, and the single best step to stop them is have armed officers on campus that can stop them before they kill our kids. But look, instead, you guys can instead sing Kumbaya with them and hope they'll just stop. But what you're proposing doesn't work.
Good job, Senator Ted Cruz, defending the Second Amendment. Also, this week, we saw another major post-Bruen ruling in federal court. It found the ban on those facing felony indictments violates the Second Amendment, but it went even further than that. I take a look at how it calls the prohibition on convicted felons owning guns into question, and then provides a potential answer for why it may survive the Bruen test. Texas produced two significant polls this week, and this is going to be a report that's written in the online blog The Reload. One showed Governor Greg Abbott increasing his lead over Beto O'Rourke as Beto continues to focus on gun control. The other showed Texans aren't interested in the AR-15 ban O'Rourke has pushed. So more Republicans pressure the major credit card companies to reverse their decision to implement a merchant category code for gun stores that at the behest of gun control advocates as well. Plus, NSSF Larry King also talks about, the new credit card controversy as well. Now, Judge David Counts of the District of Western Texas ruled Monday that a provision in the Federal Firearms Act barred those under felony indictment from obtaining a firearm is not in line with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. So, you definitely got to pay attention to this one. So a federal judge has struck down a gun ban for felony indictments. A federal judge has struck down a gun ban for felony indictments. That happened this week. So Judge David Counts, the District of Western Texas, ruled that, that a provision in Federal Firearms Act barring those under felony indictment from obtaining a firearm is not in line with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. He also dismissed an indictment against Jose Gomez Correz, a Texas man charged under the ban. Although not exhaustive, the court's historical survey finds little evidence that 922, which prohibits those under felony indictment from obtaining a firearm, aligns with the nation's historical tradition. Judge Counts, an Obama appointee who was reappointed and confirmed on the Trump, wrote, in this opinion here. And he says that this court faces a predicament similar to Plato's allegory of the cave. There are the known knowns, and the defendant was convicted of buying a gun while under indictment. After the Supreme Court recent ruling in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen, that defendants asked the court to reconsider the constitutionality of his statute of conviction. The known knowns, whether a statute preventing a person under indictment from receiving a firearm, aligns with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. And the unknown knowns, the constitutionality of firearms regulations in a post-Bruen world. There are no illusions about this case's real-world consequences. Certainly, valid public policy and safety concerns exist. Yet Bruen framed those concerns solely as a historical analysis. The court does follow that framework. And on June 9th of 2020, Jose Gomez Correz was indicted in Texas state court for burglary, a second-degree felony. The defendant subsequently failed to appear for a hearing on burglary charge and was indicted almost a year later for jumping bail, failing to appear, a third-degree felony. In late 2021, while both charges were pending, the defendant attempted to buy an M1911 semi-automatic .22 caliber firearm from a local firearms dealer. To obtain the weapon, the defendant denied he was under indictment for a felony when filling out the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Explosive Firearms Transaction Record, the 4473. Now, because the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, NICS, returned a delayed response, the defendant waited 7 days and then picked up the firearm on December 30th. And mind you, initially this was done, on June 9th of 2020. Hold on, let me just go back. Oh, man, I missed that date. So he picked up the gun on December 30, 2021, but less than a week later, the Knicks informed the ATF of the defendant's illegal firearms purchase. So they didn't get a response at all, and the gun store went ahead and transferred that transaction to the individual. And so, boom, and then after they transferred it, then they got a denial. The defendant was federally charged on March 2022 with 2 counts. Count 1, making a false statement during the purchase of a firearm, and then count 2, the illegal receipt of a firearm by a person under indictment under 18 U.S.C. A jury convicted him of both counts. 1 week after his conviction, defendant moved to set aside the verdict pursuant to Rule 29 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. And for this, the court, to reconsider his previous motion to dismiss because of the United States Supreme Court's ruling in the Bruin case. Now, defendant's motion hinges on the constitutionality of the 922, because if the provisions are unconstitutional, then defendant's false statement during the purchase of the firearm is immaterial. Under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 29, a defendant may move for a judgment of acquittal or renew such a motion within 14 days after a guilty verdict or after the court discharges the jury, whichever is later. If, as in this case, the jury returned a guilty verdict, the court may set aside the verdict and enter an acquittal. And the standard for reviewing the sufficiency of the evidence focuses on whether, after reviewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the prosecution, any rational, trial of fact could have found that essential elements of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, a motion for reconsideration calls into question the correctness of a judgment. Indeed, according to the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, a motion for reconsideration is not the proper vehicle for rehashing evidence and legal theories. We come back from the break. We'll talk about this and more. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
He didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets. And when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was going to stop. Hi, my name's Jerry. The incident we're going to talk about took place in early March of 2017. Started back about 3 years ago. We had a fella in the neighborhood that nobody really knew. We weren't familiar with him, and he was pretty regular about speeding up and down the street. It escalated into more speeding, threats. He chunked some rocks up into the yard, and broke my windshield in my truck, and it escalated from that into death threats. And he was constantly chirping about how he was gonna end it, and he was gonna kill so-and-so, he was gonna kill me, and it was all chirping. The day of the confrontation, I was leaving the neighborhood and heading to a meeting in downtown Fort Worth. It was a beautiful day, I had my windows down, I was in my Suburban. As I was heading out, just about to leave my neighborhood, this guy comes into the neighborhood, sees me coming out, pulls into my lane, causes me to stop, and then he kind of cut at an angle in front of me and jumped out of his truck and ran at the side of my Suburban, saying, "Today's the day you're gonna die, he's gonna end it." He comes over and he's slamming his hands up against the side of my vehicle, my truck. But he's screaming at me, telling me he's gonna kill me, he's gonna end it, this is the day I'm gonna die. He reaches in to try and open up my door. I grabbed my weapon, I put my weapon right at his chest at the window and told him to get back, told him to get the hell back. And he never did. He never moved, he never changed anything. He went for his pockets, shuffling into his pockets, and he pulls out his cell phone. I drove off around and called 911 before I got to the end of my street. Yeah, I've carried a weapon for pretty near 20 years, and I've never had to pull my weapon out. Now, I can tell you that when you do that, it's the emotions are incredible. You feel the flush come through your body because you just pulled a weapon on somebody, you're pointing a gun at somebody, and they don't move. And that's a whole nother, they didn't say, whoa, I'm stop, like anybody that you'd think would do that, but he didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets, and when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was going to stop. I was actually told that if he would have pulled out a gun, he'd have shot me before I could have actually pulled the trigger, and that's pretty awakening. I contacted Texas Law Shield and spoke with them and got a statement that I wrote, and I turned it in the following day. And it was subsequent to that I was told that I was going to be arrested for deadly conduct, and Texas Law Shield stepped up to the plate, and they got in my corner and handled it from there.
Factually, the case was unique because Jerry never got out of his vehicle, but was still forced to pull his weapon and defend himself. And you don't see that often. Usually, a self-defense case, both people are outside the vehicle.
They ended up arresting me.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're talking about this case in Texas when this guy was under indictment for a felony, and then he walked into a gun store to purchase a firearm. He was delayed, and then the transaction, he actually picked up the gun because they didn't get a response from the Knicks. And then after he picked up the gun, that transaction was then turned into a denial. So that does not mean, just because this judge had ruled this, that does not mean you can go out and you can do this, and risk the chances of doing this. Okay, you need to wait until this case makes it up to, basically, it's got to make it up the chain here, make it up to the Fifth Circuit, possibly to Supreme Court, and then, it will make a difference. Then you will know what you can and can't do. So we need to wait. It's too soon. This is only one court, so don't run out and go do something, thinking that you can do something because one judge said something. All right, so the government's attorneys contended that the prosecutors were permitted to impose a range of restrictions on indicted defendants, including detention and pretrial release conditions. But Counts said that the Supreme Court's ruling had changed the legal landscape on firearm restrictions. He found that prohibiting this young man from receiving a gun while under indictment amounted to a form of prior restraint that violated the Second Amendment. All right, so the U.S. District Judge Mark T. Pittman found last month that the Constitution did not put an age restriction on the right to bear arms, meaning adults 18 to 20 should not be prevented from carrying handguns outside the home. So we're going to see how all these gun cases make their way up to the Supreme Court. Because District Judge Pittman says if you're 18, 19, and 20 years old, you should be able to buy a gun from in the state of Texas, doesn't mean you're going to be able to buy that gun until it makes its way up to the Supreme Court, and then that's how the law is going to be changed. So we'll find out from then. All right, let's see what else we got to talk about. We have. What else is on the schedule here?
Milwaukee's saying that the P320s that they have issued to their police are just going off.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Where is that at? Oh, man, we got a lot of stories
SIG
to cover.
P320.
Ooh. Oh, you jumped way down too fast, too quick. Okay, all right. SIG P220. All right, let's talk about it.
320.
All right, so what's up with that? Is it going off by itself?
That's what they're saying, but there was also just a court case where the judge sided with SIG about another guy that had said
same thing.
The gun was just going off. Yeah.
And did they recreate it? Could they recreate this gun going off by itself? That's my question.
I guess not.
Yes, typically guns don't go off by themselves unless you pull the trigger. That hammer's not going to fall unless you pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize, and we see it all the time at the range, how people put their finger on the trigger and don't even realize they're doing it. It happens all the time. So that's why we go through that process of what? With your index finger, touch the side of the gun, grip the handle, because, you have to condition people and train them and force safety down their throats. You have to force them to do the right thing.
You got to shove it down their throat.
You really do. Put your index finger on the side of the gun, then grip the handle. That way they don't put their finger on the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I say that over and over again, when we get down to the end, the last 10 rounds, everyone's doing it, and it's unconscious. They don't even realize they're doing it right.
You got to teach them from the start.
That's right. That's right. So people don't realize they're putting the finger on the trigger, and it's natural for some reason.
Yeah, I'll tell people multiple times to take their finger off the trigger, to not put it on there until I tell them, and then their finger will be on the trigger when I don't tell them. Like, take your finger out of there. Wait till I say fire.
Yeah, keep your finger out of there.
That's what I have to tell them all the time.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about these migrants going to Martha's Vineyard.
Ooh.
Man,
they're suing DeSantis now.
That's wild to me because you come to the United States because you're being persecuted or something's going on in your country where you're coming from, and then I would love for someone to send me to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Martha's
saying?
Vineyard wouldn't like that, though.
I know they don't.
It's a nice place.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, Martha's Vineyard? God, it definitely is going to be better than San Antonio. Are you kidding me right now?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Really? San Antonio? I'll take Martha's Vineyard over San Antonio any day of the week. So for them, you're just mistreating us because you sent us to Martha's Vineyard.
They weren't complaining. It's the Martha's Vineyard folks. That were
No, the
complaining.
migrants
they
filed a
filed a
class
lawsuit.
action lawsuit against
Didn't they all
DeSantis.
sign consent forms?
Well, the problem
Did
is
they?
the governor of Florida, decide to move these people in Texas to Martha's Vineyard. That's the problem.
Why is that a problem?
Why in the
How is
world is
that?
the governor of Florida getting involved in Texas?
Because he's a.
They don't have enough homeless or migrants themselves.
Because he's a bad dude. He does what he wants.
He's like Corn Pop.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
And do they have a constitutional right as migrants?
No. What? The Constitution covers citizens. What kind of a question is that?
Well, do they have a right to sue?
No, it's a scam.
Well, they've sued. So you think it'll be dismissed or dropped?
Oh no, the whole system's corrupt. I'm just saying it's obviously a what do you call that?
You're saying they shouldn't be able to sue.
No, not at all. That shouldn't even be a question. If you're here illegally, you don't what? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, they were happy to see them leave.
That'd be like if I just showed up in Mexico and was like, I'm suing the Mexican government because I got giardia from drinking bad water. What? That's my own fault.
Yeah.
You show up somewhere, whatever.
It doesn't look like, looks like they were pretty happy when they left. They were, and the people that lived in Martha's Vineyard were pretty happy to see
I have
them
a
go.
feeling that the people who are actually doing this lawsuit are using the migrants as the face.
Oh, of course.
But that's why, that's probably how they're going to get away with doing this is that it's the real person that's suing is probably someone that's not the actual
You're a
migrant.
lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
Whoa!
I know. He just can't control himself. He just has Tourette syndrome or something.
Lion, dog, face, pony soldier. What does that even mean? What's a pony soldier?
I don't know. He just makes
What's
up
a
stuff.
dog face pony?
Dog
soldier?
faced is dog face is usually just referring to someone that's ugly, right?
You treat him like that uncle that you
Ugly.
You treat him like that uncle you want him to sit in the corner somewhere. You don't want anyone to see when he come to dinner.
Your uncle that was in Vietnam who did too much acid and heroin.
Keep him away from the little kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. Did
Don't-
you hear about Joe Biden
And I
was
love kids jumping on my lap.
Oh, jeez.
right on point, Casey. Did you hear that Joe Biden was at this women's conference or something, and he said, yeah, I knew her. I was
When
30
she
and
was
she was
12.
12.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Oh my God.
What is going on? And we're worried about Ron DeSantis flying migrants to a Martha's Vineyard. I mean, give me a break, dude. We should be more worried about the fact that the president is senile and a pedophile and possibly a robot. He could be dead for years at this point. Let's be honest. He could be. He got COVID and he came back and his eyes were all.
We don't want a senior bash. There's seniors out there that are very productive to society.
Yeah, Michael's getting older.
That's right.
You kidding me?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
Oh my
That's weird, man.
Lord,
That's really weird.
That's nasty.
Well, what is he referring to? That's just like the weirdest way to possibly say that.
I'm not supposed to be answering all these questions.
Even if he didn't say anything, even if he didn't do anything, that's still just a creepy way of handling your business. You know, like people complained about Trump. Well, where's those people that complain about Trump saying crazy stuff?
He's just disgusting.
But now they're not saying anything about Biden. I mean, give me a break, dude. The hypocrisy of the liberals is just out of control. At this point.
Hypocrisy.
There's hypocritical Republicans as well. I'm not gonna say it's one-sided, but it's just on the left. It's way worse, I think.
All right. What about this tow truck driver? The one that shot and killed a car owner during a repossession attempt.
He was repossessing a car and he shot them?
Yeah. So this tow truck driver, this is
what?
Yeah, this is, and by the way, it was in Fort Lauderdale. Whoop whoop! Shout out to Fort Lauderdale,
Florida.
That's right, baby.
Again,
the Florida man. But it's weird. It's going to be a Florida man. I'm telling you. So this guy goes to repossess a vehicle, and he hooked up the vehicle, and then pulls off. And for some reason, he comes back. He drives the vehicle. He tows the vehicle back to the house, and then gets into a confrontation with the vehicle owner. Ends up shooting and killing the owner.
I don't think you can really I don't know, man. I guess I don't know all the details, but my gut instinct, knee-jerk reaction is that somebody repossessing a car doesn't really have the right to shoot the owner. I mean, come on. That's repossession itself is kind of a
repossession is 9/10 of the law.
What?
What?
What does that mean?
I don't know. Normally, possession is 9/10 of the law.
Well, you know, and you know, you have the people that are coming out of their homes. They're like, hey, you know, I peeked out my window. The tow truck driver left, and all of a sudden he came back, and then he ended up shooting the guy. Why did he come back? He already had the vehicle.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this guy did definitely.
Robert
screwed
Sewell
up.
says he's puzzled because he saw the tow truck driver hook up the repossessed car and headed south, but for some reason the tow truck driver came back, and that's when the confrontation happened. If you took the vehicle, why would you come back? According to an eyewitness.
Why would he come back?
Yeah. Does it say does it give a reason for why he came back?
No, we don't know yet. So Fort Lauderdale police are asking anyone who saw the incident and knows anything about it to come forward.
Well, what I was saying about the repo thing is that, like, what if somebody had paid off 80% of this car and they were 3 or 4 months behind, and then this dude just shot them over a car that they had paid the majority of it off already?
They told you, they called you, they said, look, you know.
People go through hard times.
Look,
though. Not everybody owns a gun shop, Michael.
You're 3 months, you're 4 months behind. We're coming to get it. They tell you. You know.
I mean, I stay on top of my bills. I'm just saying, there's some people who have been down on their luck before. You know, we don't look at Joe Biden's destroyed the economy. Give him a break. Come on.
Yeah. I hear you. We'll see.
Saying.
We come back from the break. We got some more from Joe Biden. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jack Jones here, and I get my gun news from Michael Cargill on Come and Talk It.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
Boy, let me tell you. So, Austin, Texas, baby. That's right.
Austin, Texas, baby.
That's right. Okay, so in Austin, Texas, you know, the homeless are just running rampant, going crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so.
They have been for a while. Thank you, Steve Adler.
Yeah, so Austin Fire Department.
Hi, Austin Mayor Steve Adler.
Hi.
That guy's such a weirdo.
How are you doing?
He talks so low and so quiet and monotone, tries to put the reporters to sleep. That guy's a weirdo, man.
So the Austin Fire Department says he believes it has found the man responsible for intentionally setting fires in South Austin. So AFD says 42-year-old John Adam Henry.
Whoa.
John Henry. John Henry, folks.
Is this the guy that burned down Crowbar?
Why has he got to be named John Henry?
Got like the three most common names you can have.
John, American folk hero, John Henry. Why has it got to be John Henry?
John Adam Henry.
Smith.
John
That's the only
Adam
name
Henry
missing
David
from there.
Smith.
Had to be called John Henry.
He looks like a crazy person, straight up.
Let me see.
He really does. He does.
He looks like a well-adjusted young man.
Yeah, he does.
Don't profile him, Zachary.
Yeah,
Ooh, he looks like he's on multiple illegal substances.
Mostly, yeah. So the investigation into the fires began on the evening of September 17th and in the afternoon of September the 18th. Fires were set at the Crowbar on South Congress and a vacant auto repair shop on South First. They were also about 15 grass dumpster and trash fires in the area. And just so you know, under Texas law, you can use force or deadly force to stop arson. If someone's committing, attempting to commit arson, you use force or deadly force to stop that. Just so you know. Doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime. All right? So, just so you know, just putting that little tidbit out there. Because we're not getting any assistance from our local law enforcement, when it comes to, trying to get these, because there's not enough police.
Austin is one of the 5 safest big cities in the country.
Don't have enough police. They don't have the funding. City council's not doing what they're supposed to do, but they've allowed this atmosphere to sit and fester and grow.
Right.
And so now we're coming into November, October, November, into our elections here. And I'm wondering if we're going to reelect the same people that put us in this predicament in the first place. I'm just curious. Are we going to reelect the same city council members, the same type of mayor, because Mayor Adler's not going to run for reelection.
Same DA. He's
term limited. Is the DA running up? Is he running for reelection again? Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, so
2024, okay.
So, we're going to, reelect the same city council member, into office again who put us in this predicament in the first place. And that's going to be a problem. Pay attention. I'm telling you, got to get rid of these people. If you're not, you're going to be stuck with them for 4 more years of what you're dealing with. No funding for law enforcement. Your 911 calls not being answered because there's not enough 911 operators that are, able to take the calls. So if that's what you want for 4 more years as the city grows and, and almost doubles, then hey, vote the same people into office. I'm going to invite some people that are running for office onto the show for the this next few shows, coming up into early voting. We're going to invite some candidates that are running for city council, some candidates that are running for mayor, so they can plead their case. So you can, introduce yourself to them and figure out who you want to vote for, because you got to educate yourself and know who's running for office. Because we got to do something about this atmosphere, what we're experiencing in this city. We can't deal with, Crowbar. That bar has been there for decades.
Yeah, that's a sad one.
Yeah, decades.
They could have burned down a bar that I didn't like. Come on.
Red Rose, Yellow Rose.
Whoa, relax, Michael. Don't you ever. You know what? I don't even think I can. I think I should avoid that place for a while. I had a little situation the other day.
Uh-oh.
All right, Casey didn't say watch it, so I'm going to continue. No, I had a couple of girls all find out about each other. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I got a couple fingers pointed at me, a couple of names called at me, and I said, "Look, ladies, I'm out of here." Walked right out the door.
I'm
going to P10 now, baby. Come on.
I am what I am.
I am what I am. You know what? Whatever. All those ladies, they had a good time with me anyways. Like, I love them all, except one of them.
Can't help myself.
Let's just listen to this song the rest of the show.
He's a bad boy. Yes, he is.
Hey, look, man. Look, here's my public apology. I love all
Go ahead,
you women.
apologize.
I'm sorry that I, sometimes I can be a little reckless, but I love you all. And that's that.
Oh, my
Give me a break. But yeah, man, P10, that's where it's at now. Perfect 10.
Okay. All right.
North, not Highlands.
All right. 60 Minutes. I want to talk about the 60 Minutes of Trump and Biden. You see that video?
Thought it was
Casey's on the soundboard over there today.
He is on it. Let me tell you.
He must have drank 2 cups of coffee today.
Like, wow, dude. So someone smashed, they mashed up Biden and Trump's 60 Minutes interview, so they have a conversation with each other. Man, take a listen. I don't know if we're able to do this. Yeah, let's take a listen to this.
We created the greatest economy in the history of our country.
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective.
The unemployment numbers for African Americans, for Asian Americans, for Hispanic Americans, virtually every number was the best.
Inflation rate month to month was just an inch. Hardly
We had the
at all.
best stock market price ever.
I got that. But guess what we are? We're in a position where for the last several months it hasn't spiked.
You know what? She deleted 33,000 emails.
How that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
I think it's disgraceful what she's done.
I mean, honest to God, that's all I think.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign.
I haven't, look.
They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
Don't.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught.
Yes.
It was our Justice Department.
Yes.
It was Obama and Biden.
Excuse me.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. So wrong.
I think what happened was disgraceful. Should never have happened.
Think about that.
Should never have happened.
Think of how that has changed everything.
What kind of ice cream? What flavor ice cream do you have?
You think I would tell you if I knew exactly what it would be? Of course I'm not going to tell you.
You just come in here with that negative attitude.
And it's much
Ice
too
cream.
early to make that kind of decision.
And when I finish, this country will be in a position like it hasn't been maybe ever.
I'm more optimistic than I've been in a long time.
Gary, what you got to say?
I just got some messages that distracted me during that. But look, here's the deal.
Hold on. Let me yell at someone. Now, I got some digging in our trash behind the building. Look here. We're watching you dig in the trash behind our building. Please refrain from trying to set the trash can on fire or digging through the trash. We're sending someone out there to confront you, so stop doing it. Okay, there we go. Nah, we're not going to do that. Wait, play that sound one more time so I can play it on the microphone. There we go. Thank you. I suggest you move along. If not, we're coming outside. There we go. So, sorry. Just got an alert on the phone there. Someone's like trying to do something to the dumpster behind the building.
Man,
it's a constant battle.
Look, man, if there's only one thing on earth,
it's a constant battle.
That's crazier and more of a constant battle than the homeless population.
It's me.
Women scorned. You know what I mean? Come on, man. I'm over here. They can't give me enough of their mind.
See, now you're in trouble.
Casey, you're supposed to back me up, man. What's going on here? What is going on, man?
He is on it.
He just got a new Adderall prescription, is what it is. Whoa, almost broke the FAA regulations there. Federal Airline Agency.
Oh my!
What is it called, Casey? FDA? FCC. Look, man, I had like 6 or 7 drinks before I came in today. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Give me a break, all right?
Oh my goodness!
I had a long week, man. We're working on a documentary for the Austin comedy scene.
How's that going?
You know, a lot of comics really, really support gun rights.
Really?
Some of them privately and some of them more publicly, but we should bring some comics on the show soon.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we should. You know what? We should do like something in the gun store.
Yeah, well, we did.
Guns and giggles during the day.
Well, you've been doing that,
but earlier, like on Sunday, on the radio show, like in the gun store.
You mean like produce the radio show
in the gun store,
from the gun store for a comedy show?
Why would you do that?
And have some comedians come on and talk about guns. Yeah.
Why wouldn't we just bring him in here?
Okay. Well, the gun store is better because you got guns in the background.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Let's bring some guns in here.
Yeah, we can.
Have Matthew stand behind you holding multiple guns.
Just holding a gun to your head. Make me laugh, boy!
Matthew.
Anyways.
Leave him alone. Hey, we forgot to talk about Chicago police order to let a suspect vehicle get away after caught on camera gunpoint robbery.
Okay. Did you read this story?
No, go ahead. You got
It's
30
insane.
seconds.
No, you just read it in front of you.
No, go ahead.
Well, I don't know all the details.
So, Indiana man who was robbed at gunpoint while visiting family in Chicago used his military background to fight back and thwart any further attack, but police were unable to catch the fleeing suspect after officers were told to discontinue their pursuit, according to reports and interviews that were given to the media. Man, so that's crazy. Yeah, you honestly, you got to be your own. You got to fight back. We as a community have got to stand up and start fighting back. Next week, I'm going to bring a story to you because there's an individual here in Austin, Texas that has multiple IDs, multiple driver's licenses, and he's going around doing businesses and not paying for the services of the businesses that he's doing business with, using multiple IDs, multiple names, same picture, different names, different addresses, different driver license numbers, and different audit numbers. And we haven't been able to get the police department to report. So next week we'll talk about that. Hey, be good, be safe.
More guns equals less crime. Go out and buy yourself a gun.